Hello everyone, BYM here, and today we are filming the second episode of Wonderful Web of Nature, and we're out here in Antelope Valley State Poppy Preserve in California. We're near Lancaster. Today I want to talk about flowers all around the California poppy. So hope you all enjoy, and let's get into the video.
So I found myself in Antelope Valley after road tripping down from Northern California with some friends from Berkeley. And it was a pretty fortuitous time to actually be passing through the area because it coincides with the era or time frame when the poppy blooms each year. And I really thought it was special as well to get a glimpse at what is considered the state flower of California. And it's an icon that somewhat symbolically represents the golden nature of the state. So California is called a golden state mostly because of the gold, but the flower actually gives a subtle nod to this name as well, considering the coloration that it has. And I'll talk about this a little more in the future of the video. But with the rains that we've actually experienced this year in California throughout the state, it led to a pretty remarkable scene once I actually got to the valley. And I'd like you guys to be able to witness it as well. So let's continue with the video.
A little bit of history behind exactly how this poppy was first reported. So Spanish settlers, when they were first coming to this area in California, as well as other parts of the West Coast where the poppy can be observed, they noticed exactly how the poppy has sort of a interesting pigmentation where it actually glimmers in the sunlight. And so for that reason, it's along with how it's shaped somewhat like a cup, they called it Copa de Oro. As you can see right here, how almost in the sunlight it actually has a shine to it, which is really interesting, just as a polished gold might look.
So the remarkably beautiful golden pigmentation, which is particularly effective at attracting pollinators, is also quite sensitive. And to take into account this sensitivity, the flower actually has an adaptation called nyctinacity, which is the ability of the flower to close up at night and to prevent the desiccation of the flower due to really unnecessary flaunting of the flower coloration. Because the flower, of course, needs to be open during the day to show off its colors to pollinators, to attract them to actually help the plant reproduce in the future. But at night, pollinators are not going to actually be present. They're diurnal, which means they only are around in the day. And so the flower has adapted in a way that would actually allow it to preserve its flower moisture throughout the night. And this is really an interesting example of a circadian rhythm being exhibited in plants. So the plant has an internal clock that tells it, okay, this time is now night, through an estimation that, okay, there's a 24-hour day. And to reinforce this internal clock, the plant actually has photoreceptors which enable it to actually process the light that comes from the sun and to realize that night is coming. And so you can see in the video that even though it's just dusk, the flowers are already starting to close up and to get ready for the night when they're not going to have any pollinators to attract anymore.
So a process that these poppies utilize to take advantage of a not so ideal ecosystem when it comes to consistent amounts of rainfall is something called bed hedging. And this is where plants like the poppy, they'll release seeds every year, but some of those seeds will actually be dormant right away and the others will be ready to germinate. And so what this does is it actually creates seed banks in the soil. And so in times of high amounts of moisture and precipitation, the seeds will come alive and they will result in the fields that we see here, where you see all of these vast amounts of orange goldish blooms. Whereas in other years, the seeds will remain dormant in the soils for times when the conditions are more ripe to actually support the species. And this is actually a beneficial adaptation because although right away fitness might be lower because the seeds that are produced as they are dormant, they actually don't have the potential to produce plants right away. But in the future, because of the fact that they're stored in the soil, conditions will be more ideal and they can actually take advantage of that at a greater level and reproduce in groups, which is better for pollination. So poppies play a very important role as hosts for many different insect species. As you can see down here, the California looper right now is actually consuming the flower. And you can actually see there are a lot of pollen stores in this flower that are perfect for the windy environment that we find ourselves in, where pollen can be distributed very easily through just wind blowing it around, as well as bees or other types of insects that might play a role in this system. Thank you all for watching the video. I hope you all enjoyed this continuation to the series and learned a thing or two. Looking forward to making more videos like this, where hopefully I can travel to different locations and get an interesting perspective of these different concepts in ecology. So stay tuned for more videos in the future. I'll be doing one actually close by with Joshua trees, hopefully, which should be very interesting. So stay tuned, and thank you all for watching.